Okay, hello everybody. How are we doing? Trying to make sure everything is okay. Uh, there we go. Now we have audio. Yeah, happy Monday to everybody. Sorry, a bit of an issue with the equipment. How are we doing? How are we feeling? Everything's going on well. Yeah, so today we are going to have a chat about Benjamin Sesko, but United. It seems United are going in for Sesko, as well as Antony to Saudi. And we have a bit of loan news. There are players that there is a United player that has gone out on loan, as well as one is started to go out on loan or is expected to go out on loan. So make sure you go to the comment section and post your comments, your questions, and let's get this started. Oh, as well as we are going to have a review of the Manchester United versus West Ham game. Unfortunately, I was unable to go live yesterday um, to discuss about the game. So we'll also talk about it. But first things first, Benjamin Sesko to United. Fabrizio as well as Florian Plattenberg have come out to say that United have held talks with the agents of the player, agents, Sesko's agents. Sorry, I'm zoning out a bit. Let me concentrate. So United have begun talks with Sesko's agents to see the possibility of a move. We know that Newcastle have moved in for the player as well, and they've made a strong proposal for him. Newcastle at the moment are not having a good summer transfer window. They are being rejected by all players they are going for, as well as they are losing their key player, Isak. Isak wants to move, and it seems that Liverpool want to get him. Well, they need to replace him, and they've gone for Sesko. Sesko, we know that Arsenal wanted him, but the move didn't happen. And Arsenal went for Gyökeres, and the transfer has been confirmed that Gyökeres is now an Arsenal player. And United are also looking for a forward. United need a forward. And among the forwards, the names that have been mentioned are Sesko, Watkins, Mateta. Those are the forwards that have been mentioned, as well as uh, I'm forgetting the name, but if I remember, I'll say it. So yeah. So now United have gone in for Sesko. Sesko is valued at 69.5 million pounds. That is including add-ons. And word has come out that Sesko and Leipzig do have an agreement, a gentleman's agreement, that if a special club comes for him, then he would go for between 70 million to 80 million euros in terms of guaranteed fee, as well as 5 to 10 million euros in add-ons. Now, Sesko, we also have heard or have seen that there are news that he prefers a move to United, and Newcastle are going in hard for him. They want him. They are pushing hard to make sure the move happens. And I'm guessing that Newcastle don't want to sell Isak until they are sure that they are going to get a replacement for him. And Sesko is a young forward. There is a bit of a division between the fans, the United fans, whether we go for another young player or we go for an experienced player in Watkins. We know the current MO, the current Ineos MO is that they want to go for Premier League proven players. Watkins, Mateta, they fit that bill. Mateta won't be as expensive, but with United not playing Europe, I'm not sure whether we are going to convince him to come. The rumors for Mateta are just rumors. There is nothing concrete at the moment. As well as if we look at Watkins, Manchester United made an inquiry for him, and they were told that he won't go for less than 60 million. Now, if you have Watkins for 60 million and Sesko for 69.5 million, I would rather go for Sesko. Yes, it's a risk. It's a risk in terms of him being young. We've already got burnt with Hoyland. Hoyland came in with a big fee, 72 million from Atalanta, and he hasn't worked out so far. I'm quite impressed with Hoyland, having seen him play in the preseason friendly against West Ham. He played well. He ran the channels. He was available for the pass, as well as being able to create chances for himself. Remember, in the first few minutes of the game, he hit the bar. It could have been a goal. There is another chance where he hit too high, and it was a wasted chance. But we saw the intensity. We saw that he was battling well with the defenders, and we'll go through the match later. But let's come back to Sesko. Now, Sesko has scored 14, 15 goals last season in the Bundesliga. And remember, this is a player that United have been looking at for a couple of years now. This is a young forward that has also been of interest to many clubs. We know that Arsenal really, really wanted him, and Gyökeres was the second option. So that tells you something. Am I happy that we are going for him after the failed Arsenal move? Of course, I wouldn't be. I mean, Arsenal fans will always try to banter us, especially if Sesko comes in and does not perform. And we know that the Premier League is more physical, quite fast compared to the Bundesliga. And I keep mentioning that whenever you buy a forward from another league, you'd expect them in the first 2, 3 seasons not to score as many goals. Of course, Haaland was an exception. He came in, scored a lot of goals, as well as Zlatan. They are bullies. So Sesko is good. I would prefer having Watkins myself based on the Premier League experience, and he can come in and give the likes of Chido and Hoyland some mentorship and to help them grow in the game. But what United we need right now, we need a forward that can come in immediately and start scoring goals. And Sesko will be a risk. He will be a risk, especially for that fee, 69.9 £69.5 million. It's a huge, huge risk. Looking back at what we've experienced with Hoyland, are they the same player? No. Sesko provides much more than Hoyland. Sesko is good in terms of hold-up play. He's good in terms of running the channels. In terms of defensive pressing, he's much better than Hoyland, and we would expect to have a much better version of Hoyland if you're going for Sesko. Now, in terms of Watkins, I've mentioned in the previous videos that I would prefer him. He knows how the league is. He has the experience of playing against Premier League defenders, and he can be able to link up play with the likes of Mbumo, Cunha, and Bruno. The good thing about getting a forward right now, we can get any forward we want. We can get a true number 9 that just sticks in the box and waits for goals. We can get a forward that can play like Zaxi, a 9.5, who can drop deep, get the ball, be able to help build up play and bring in other players into the mix. Because we have Cunha, we have Gumo, so the burden of scoring goals has been taken away from the forwards. We don't need us a forward that is especially for just scoring. No, we need a forward that can be able to link up play, and we've seen that Hoyland has that inability. His first touch is quite off at times. Most of the time, it's off. His passes are not quite good compared to Sesko. Sesko has better hold-up play, better first touch. He can be able to round the defender, look for a pass, run into the channel, and get the pass to score. As I've mentioned, United right now, we need a reliable forward. We need a forward who at least can give us 15, 20 goals a season. If we add 20 goals for Mbumo, let's say another 20 for Cunha, or 15, and Bruno as well, we always know that he chips in the goals, as well as Ahmad. Then at least we know that we will score a lot of goals. Last season, we only scored 44 goals. It's unheard of for any United side. We've always been scoring lots and lots of goals every other season, but last season we were so poor. We didn't score any goals. So United are waiting to hear from Sesko's agent. I'm trying to check my phone for any news to see whether there is any update on this. But United do want him, and United will not will not go for a player that won't join us. Remember that Amorim back in, was it May, when he was asked about Gyökeres, he mentioned that we won't go for a player who doesn't want to play for United. He doesn't want a player who's only going to come in because of Champions League. And we've seen that Mbumo and Cunha are players that are joining the club because they love the club. These are players that we know that absolutely they'll give their best. We know that they are going to do it all to make sure that United are getting back to the top. The other thing that we do know is that um, there is a bit of a confusion in midfield in terms of how we are going to play in midfield. In the system, we have two number sixes, two pivots. And when we are now going to sign a forward, we need a forward that can be able to play in that fluid system. We've seen, if you've watched a bit of Sesko play, he can be able to drop into midfield and allow the likes of Openda to go forward. Yes, he does play with Openda in the forward lines as well as Javi Simons, but this is a player that can drop deep and be able to also provide that cover in midfield. We'll go through the West Ham game and we'll see how that goal was scored, because we do have a big gap that is usually left in midfield. And as much as United want to buy a striker, we also need to buy a midfielder and a goalkeeper. The other bit of news that is surrounding Sheshko is that um, Christopher Vivel, who is the first person to spot Sheshko, is pushing for the move. In terms of internally at United, Christopher Vivel is pushing to have the player come to United. He knows him well. We know that he's part of the recruitment team, part of the scouting team. He's in charge of that, and he trusts the player. He has seen him. He knows his progression, as well as if we compare Sesko to Hoyland, Sesko has a bit more of fast team experience compared to Hoyland. Now, would we expect Hoyland and Sesko to play in the same team? I don't think so. I'm thinking if we get Sesko in, we might see Hoyland leave. And if Hoyland stays, we might see Chido go out on loan, because we'll have Zaxi, we'll have Chido, we'll have Hoyland and Chesko if we do sign him, or if we do sign any forward. I'm seeing either Hoyland or Chido moving to either on loan or going on a permanent basis. I would like to see how Hoyland plays this season. I will give him one more season. And now that we have two good number 10s in, I would like to see how he plays. If we were to sign another forward, I would give Chido away on loan, preferably to a Premier League level club, if not a championship club that we know that will challenge for the title, because Chido needs to build up his physicality, he needs to build up his experience. We saw when he came in the second half in the West Ham game, he was a bit sluggish. He was off in terms of the press, positioning of the press. He couldn't be able to open up good spaces to receive a pass. And whenever he got the ball, he was unsure of himself. So Chido, I would like to see him go out on loan, get that Premier League experience of playing in the first team regularly, and then he can come back. This is one of the steals of the summer, or one of the steals that United have done. If you also look at how Aiden Heaven played against West Ham for 1.5 million, that's a steal. That's a steal. If Aiden Heaven continues like that, of course, he has a few things he needs to work on. But if he continues like that, he'll end up being 80 million, 100 million pounds defender. And those are the sort of deals when we've mentioned in our previous lives that we need to continue doing as Manchester United. Moving away from Sesko, we have Antony. Antony is subject to a transfer from Saudi Arabia. The Saudi clubs want to buy him, and the agent is pushing also for a move away from United. You know that Betis want him, but Betis are not making a good offer. Betis are offering 20 million euros plus 50% ownership rights for Antony. So it means United get 20 million euros, and if Betis decide to sell Antony, then they'll get 50% of the value, which is not a good deal. We bought Antony for a lot of money, 100 million euros, and it hasn't worked out for him in the Premier League at United, and we want to sell him. United want 50 million for Antony, and we know that Saudi clubs can pay up that amount. They have money. They are buying players for crazy amounts. And I wouldn't take anything less than 45 million for Antony, to be honest. The guaranteed fee should be at least 45 and probably 5 million pounds for whenever he does that spin, the Antony spin. So we need to sell players, as well as we know that we can't make any more moves in the transfer market until we sell players. Right now, we don't have a lot of money as a club. We don't have money to go out and buy a player for 70, 80 million. Right now, the market is very, very crazy. United want to buy another keeper. They want to have a midfielder. The outgoings are not happening. And Ineos are trying to fix the narrative where United can't sell players. We've seen players coming in for a lot of money, but we can't sell. Also, even the academy players, we can't sell them at a profit. And one of the things they are doing is to sell players or sell academy players with a sell-on clause so that they can get a bit of money. And we've seen so far this season, we've gotten about 20 to 26 million in terms of sell-on clauses. And for example, if a player like Greenwood goes, if he's sold, we have around 40 to 50% sell-on clause. So whatever profit Marcel do make, we'll get 40 to 50% of it, and those are smart deals. So Antony, the good thing with Antony, he's not on high wages. If we do decide to sell him, we can sell him quite quick, but it also comes down to the player himself. We saw that we couldn't sell Rashford to any other club, and the clubs were not interested in Rashford because he only wanted Barcelona, similar to Mbomo. We had Tottenham going in for him, Arsenal, Newcastle, but they were turned down by the player because the player only wanted United. So if Antony is open to moving to other clubs, it can also invite a bidding war. It can also cause the player's value to go up. Besides United not being a selling club and us not being good in terms of sales, if we have multiple clubs coming for him and they really want him, you can have one club, let's say, bid 40 million, another one come up with a better deal of, let's say, 45 million. Or they can give 40 million with more add-ons, more easily attainable add-ons. But now it also comes down to the player. The player wants to go to Betis. He loves the club. He performed well last season, but Betis don't have money. So what's next? Where do we go to next? Saudi clubs, you know that he will make a big buck. If I was Antony, I wouldn't go to Saudi right now. He's still young. I think he's 23, 24. It's still too early for him to go there. But now, speaking as a United fan, he needs to move, and I don't see it working for him. Amorim, after the West Ham game in the interview, he did come up and say that he's willing to bring back the players if they don't move away. Of course, they are under contract with United, and if the club does not find a move for them, then they can't just play with the under 21s, or they can't just stay within the club and not play. That would be a breach of contract and it would be issues for United. Would we be happy seeing Sancho back? Personally, no. I wouldn't want him anywhere near the first team squad or even the under 21s. Those are the sort of toxic players we need to let go. Antony, yeah, a bit. He did show that he can work. He can be humble enough to work to his best, and we just need to give him that chance if he doesn't find a move away from the club. Let's see how it goes. The window is still on. We still have around 4 weeks to go, and things quite start moving quite fast as the deadline draws close. We might see other players leaving. For example, right now we've seen that Radek Vitek has moved to Bristol, and they've had one of the best announcement videos I've ever watched or ever seen. You should go to their Twitter page to see it. And we also have other players who might go out on loan, or other players who might be sold as the window draws near. We also know that United over the past few years, past few windows, have been quite active in the transfer market on deadline day. I remember that there's a deadline day we did sign like 3 players. You remember the likes of Falcao came in on deadline day, and United might decide to see how it plays out. Also, clubs might come in for United players. It's also a waiting game. The transfer window is also a waiting game. If you wait for close to the deadline day, the clubs might reduce their valuation. So a player who's valued, for example, Garnacho is valued at 60 to 70 million. By the end of the window, United might budge and say, okay, you can have him for 40 million, because they just want to sell the player and probably they have another deal lined up. So let's see how it goes. It's still early. We can still get all our targets, and the squad is shaping up quite well. Now, moving to the review of the West Ham game. I don't know what you guys thought about the game. Let me know in the comment section below. And thanks for everyone who's watching on TikTok, everyone who's watching on our YouTube page, X account, and my personal Facebook page. Thank you. Thank you very much. Just drop a hi or a comment, and I will read it or say hi to the rest of the guys who are saying it. I'm seeing a couple of fans, a couple of followers on TikTok. I'm seeing La Batista, King D, Ada Watch. I'm seeing Daniel Tobiko. Thanks, guys, for watching on the stream. Now, moving to the West Ham game, I was quite impressed with how we played. There are a few things we need to work on as a team. There are a few things that we did miss out on. And
there's a couple of things that, as United, we need to start pushing for. In terms of pressing, it was quite impressive. In terms of us holding up play, waiting for players to get into the position, it was good. Our intensity was much higher compared to West Ham. And being the second preseason game, it was good to see United having that sort of intensity, that sort of play. We were able to handle West Ham. The only active player in the West Ham squad was Wan-Bissaka. He was quite energetic. He was able to get the ball into dangerous positions, and Bowen as well. He was quite good. What I was also impressed is the link-up play between Cunha and Bruno. Cunha, Bruno, and Mainu, Kobe. They played well in the midfield, and I liked the combination of Kobe and Ugarte. During the preview, I mentioned that I would like to see that. Mbumo, he couldn't play because he's not fit. And I had mentioned, or I had predicted that Amorim is going to play Cunha and Bruno as the 2 10s and have Ugarte and Kobe in the 2 number 6 positions, or the pivots. And it played out quite well. Mainu was all over the pitch. It seems he was given the freedom to roam around, create chances, as well as Ugarte was in the midfield general, picking up second balls, loose balls, tackling, and he was good in his passing. All of us kept saying that Ugarte can't pass the ball, but we saw in that game that he can't pass the ball. You remember that assist he gave to Ahmad, although the goal was called offside, but it was a good play coming from deep, winning at the loose ball, having that nutmeg, having that through pass to Ahmad. And Ahmad, we always know that he's in good positions and he can score. It's quite unfortunate that it was called offside. However, when we considered the goal, there is one weakness that I noticed. And when you watch a lot of 3-4-3 systems, or teams that play the 3-4-3 or 3 at the back, 3-4-2-1, 3-4-1-2, there's usually that weakness, and I'm going to highlight it. And Vincent Ouma, just before I read or I go through the tactical part of that game, we really need a serious striker for Manchester United. Yes, we do. Vincent, I completely agree with you. And guys on TikTok, click on the link in the description, come over to YouTube, and you can see the comments we are reading. I do agree with you, Vincent. We do need a serious striker. I mentioned that we need a striker that can score 15, 20 goals a season. And that's not only, I'm not talking about all competitions. I'm talking about the Premier League. If we can get 15 goals from the striker, let's say 20 from Cunha, 20 from Mbumo, and another, let's say 10, 15 from Bruno, and of course we know Ahmad scores the odd 10 to 15 goals. That's a good return. And I mentioned that we now have a squad that anyone can score. Now, looking at the West Ham game, unfortunately, I don't have a pen, so I'll just use my finger to control. Let me also share on TikTok so that the fans can see. So if we go to the West Ham game, this is how we set up. And I'm hoping I got the lineup correct. We had Bayandia starting in goal. We had Delict. We had Heaven and Yoro playing as the left side and the right side centre backs. Then we had Dogu and Ahmad as the wing backs. And then we had Ugarte and Mainu, Kobe, as the two number sixes or pivots. Then we had Cunha, Bruno, and of course Hoyland on top. Now, whenever United are pushing forward, we see that most of the time you find that Kobe moves to this position, this area. If the ball is on the left, he comes here. If the ball is on the right, let's say he comes here. Normally, what you'd expect is the center backs to push forward and be a bit narrow. If the ball comes to the wings, the defenders can be able to delay. So let's say if the ball comes to this position here, let's say if the ball comes to this position or this position here, the three defenders you see here, for example, if it's on the left, we have Heaven, we have Dogu and Ugarte. If he sticks around deep, they can't be able to delay the pass as the other defenders go down. If we have Yoro, if it's on the right, we have Yoro, Diallo, Ahmad, and we have Fernandez or mine who can come and delay. Or if Ugarte is in a similar position, let's say if he's in this position, he can be able to move and press or delay. Now, one of the weaknesses that I did notice in that setup is if you look at the goal we conceded, we had Heaven, Delict, and Yoro who are quite deep. And then Mainu had pushed forward. He was, I think, in this position. We had Dogu who had also pushed. We have Hoyland who was up. We have Fernandez who was there. And Ugarte had pushed forward. And this whole area was left unmarked. This whole area was left unmarked. And it was just a matter of playing a simple pass to that area. And West Ham got the chance on goal. Because if you look at this is a huge space that was left here. And what should happen ideally whenever we are attacking is Ugarte should be able to stick around this area or close to the half line. But in that instance, Ugarte was not there. He had pushed up. So it means that the center backs should have pushed up forward to this area because also Ahmad was up front. And those are the things that Amorim needs to look at and work on. I've seen a couple of guys saying that Heaven is the one at fault because he was unable to deal with Jared Bowen. But in my case, I would say, yes, he's at fault because he was deep and Bowen was in the box. And these defenders were so. And you know, most of the time when defenders are getting attacked, they usually backtrack to cause a delay so that these players can be able to come back to defend. Okay. The other mistake that United do quite often, and I hope Amorim can fix it, is the center backs usually stay in the flat line, let's say like that. So if you look at the center backs, they're usually on a flat line. And that's quite risky. In a 3-4-3, you either play an inverted center midfielder, so meaning that either Delict comes up top to help push Ugarte up top, and then these defenders can push in a bit. So you have some sort of a triangle. If that's not the case, then you need to have, let me delete this. If that's not the case, then you need to have, if the center backs are, let's say, slightly in a V, in a triangle, then you need to have Ugarte coming in like so that you have at least this sort of cover. We need to protect the center of the park. The problem we have currently with the players we have is that Mainu usually pushes forward, and that's how the system is. But when they push forward, there is no communication with Ugarte. We also saw that whenever Bruno plays in the center with Casemiro, there is also that gap that is left. Why? Because Casemiro, if he pushes up, he does not have the legs to come back to defend. And Bruno, we know that he's not tactically disciplined to be able to have what we call counter control. This instant on screen right now is what we call counter control. If the ball is played in these areas, let's say this area and this area, we can easily be able to press. And what normally happens is this player usually drops back, this one comes in, and this one, Ugarte, either drops to this position or comes to press. And if they are dropping, if Ugarte is dropping there, then Bruno should be also coming back. And at least we should have either a 3-on-2, a 3-on-3, a 3-on-4 in such situations. So there's a lot that we need to work on. And it's something that Amorim needs to analyze with his coaching staff and be able to have counter control. The weakness of a 3-4-3 is most of the time when you are attacking, you have 6 players attacking and you have around 4 players defending. And that midfield area needs to be always protected. If I can bring this back just to show you. Let me just do away with all this. Pardon me, guys. It's quite difficult with that finger instead of a pen. So in this instance, let's say we are attacking on the right. And we add a ball. Oh, sorry. So let's say we are attacking on the right like so. On the left, sorry. Then it means that Ugarte needs to be in this area. Ugarte needs to be in this area, and the center backs need at least to push like that, inverted in the other way. So we have the Ligt who's deep, and then we have Heaven and Yoro who are pushing up a bit, but compress the center of the pack. Why? If the ball is played in these areas, we can't be able to delay play because it's a longer distance to get back on goal. Similarly, if they decide to play a pass in this middle section here, we do have a cover. We do have a diamond. If they decide to play the ball here, we do have this diamond that is protecting the attacking areas. So those are some of the things that I want to see moving forward. Our press is quite impressive. We are able to press the ball. And we saw that whenever West Ham had the ball in this region here, whenever West Ham had the ball in this region here, they will look to pass in the deep attacking areas on the left. They would pass the ball here just to look for a run. So it means that a West Ham player needs to make this run to get the ball. And in that case, it means Heaven can come to press, De Ligt can push, Yoro can go back, Ugarte can go back, as well as Dogu is running back. And Mainu can be able to come and cover that space. So sorry, today I've been a bit more tactical, but that's the sort of play United need to have defensively. It did work in some instances during the game, but I think the players need to get used to it. In terms of our build-up play, we also need to have a good midfielder that can drop deep, get the ball, turn, and look for a pass. Mainu did that in some instances. Ugarte was also good because most of the time when you are building up play, it goes to either Yoro, Dogu, and then it's a long pass to either Cunha, Bruno, or Hoyland. But we need to have that build-up play where we are comfortable getting the ball out of our defensive areas and getting it into attacking areas. So that's it for the West Ham game. That's the weakness that I saw, and it's my short review of the game. I'll try as much as possible to perfect this screen sharing, as well as probably get a pen to be able to draw lines quite easily and be able to also get screenshots of the game. This is the first time I'm doing it. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section. And thanks for everyone who's watching. Now, finally, we have a bit of news regarding, let me get the name, Toby Collier. Toby Collier is subject to a loan move. He's open to it. He's open to a move. Toby Collier is a good player. I'll take him. When I see Toby Collier play, he reminds me of Michael Carrick in terms of the combativeness, in terms of covering space, running in the pitch. The thing that I would like Toby Collier to improve on is the passing. He picks up good position. He reads the game quite well. He can be able to sniff an attack and be able to get into position to win the ball, get the second ball. But he needs to improve on his passing, because Carrick was a good one. I would take Bruno to be like Scholes. He can be able to spot a run and make passes. Something else I also want to mention about Bruno is we know he takes risks. He also wants to have those Hollywood passes, but I hope and wish that this season he acknowledges that he's not the only creative player that we will depend on. He needs to allow Cunha. We saw that in the bits of the game against West Ham. He allowed Cunha to also be creative, take off the burden off of him. We also have Ahmad and Bumo now in, and take less risks. There are passes that he decides, especially in the West Ham game, he could have passed to the left to Dogu, but he decided to slip a pass in for Hoyland, and it ended up being the wrong pass. So if we can have Bruno at least taking less risks, playing it a bit safe, picking out especially Dogu on the left, because Dogu is a workhorse. We see him running up top, going back to defend, and Dogu can create a lot of chances for us. Also, I hope to see him continue having a relationship with Mainu. Moving forward, I would like to see Mainu playing with Bruno. I know it's a bit of a risk in terms of covering, but I would like to see how that relationship works out. Ugarte is going to have a big season. And looking at all those midfielders, it only makes sense to send Toby Collier out on loan for his development. I wouldn't want us to sell him. We have a player there. He can be a star player like Mainu Kobe, and he's a player that we need to explore more and see how things work out. So that's it for tonight's show. Thank you for everyone who came in to watch. We'll see whether we'll go live either tomorrow or Wednesday. If there are any news, if there are any major breaking news, we'll go live tomorrow. And I mentioned that we usually go live on Mondays and Fridays. This past weekend, I went live on Saturday because I wasn't available on Friday. And make sure you like all our social media pages, United Qua Ground. We also want to get the fans involved. Make sure you post your comments for us to read. Thanks to the likes of Vincent for the comment and the guys watching on TikTok. Until next time, guys, see you. God bless.